Welcome to the bold analysis. How Raila Odinga pushed back William Ruto, the top of the car, in a campaign trail 10 months after inauguration is a topic that should be studied in the university. But before we get into that, I just want to make a passionate appeal. There are very disturbing videos from Nyalenda slums, and I think it's also from Bondo, about how people are being pulled out of their houses and beaten by police in uniform. It is archaic, it is inhuman and illegal, and for lack of a better word, we cannot continue in the path of ethnic profiling. Let's respect humanity. It is very sad about how people are being pulled from their houses, and those videos are there. No. Even for the security officers, even if there is an order from another person, we are human beings. At the end of the day, we are all born by a mother. We are all human beings. Even if politics can divide us, but the virtue of us being human beings should not allow us to erode the morals. Back to my podcast. Ruto went back to campaign trail, and I want you to check this video. That video, William Ruto was speaking somewhere in Mount Kenya about a campaign, and what is leading to, and one thing you can see here is he's gone back to try to explain, picking one maize cob, to explain how they have got the right fertilizer for the maize production. And you know, it's very funny. There's some things you can even laugh. The best indicator of the fertilizer subsidy being a success is not the size of one maize cob. By the way, whatever is carrying there, you wonder what is the correlation between a fertilizer subsidy and that one maize is carrying there? How do you ascertain that it is as an effect of fertilizer subsidy? Honestly, where he was speaking was in Embu. The fertilizer subsidy, if it is about maize, that is a video that should be done somewhere in Kitale. And in fact, if we want to show that you've got that maize because of fertilizer subsidy or the right fertilizer that you used, then you should do it from the farm. How do you ascertain that that maize, no, that public gimmick, sometimes I wonder, those who are advisors, how do they advise? In this country, the tragedy that has befell our governance is that William Ruto only listens to one man in this country, and that man do not know everything. Any other person that is trying to advise William Ruto is labeled as an Azimio mole. And the tragedy here is there is only one person, and that man is William Ruto. No one else can advise him. For the last 3 days, I've been seeing these activities. Ruto attended a rally, launch of a dam in Kericho, and after that addressed some impromptu rally in Kericho town. That was on Wednesday. Then on Thursday, he went to Isiolo and Meru, and in both occasions addressed some roadside rally. And today, the Friday, he camped in Murang'a and attended a Thanksgiving ceremony in a secondary school. A whole president leaving State House to fuel the guzzlers and the choppers to attend a Thanksgiving ceremony in one secondary school. And the same event, there is the president and the ministers and, you know, one school. But let me tell you, after using the church in the last year's election, the new platform that is being used is the school and the principal. Let me just take you. Last time we used M-Pesa bishops who were being given money to campaign, and when they're making announcements in church, they campaign for William Ruto and they push the UD agenda. The next phase of it, they have shifted from the church and has gone to school. The kind of money being poured in schools is worrying and is really raising more questions. Within 1 month, William Ruto gave 10 million shillings and a bus to Murang'a High boys. Murang'a High, 10 million. The same month, Oduor boys was given a bus and some cash. Today, Mugweri girls in Murang'a was given a bus and 50 million Kenyan shillings, allegedly for development. Let it not be lost to you that even Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua is now a darling in most graduation ceremonies, because when he attends any graduation ceremony, he has a tendency of giving cash for the comrades to enjoy. We are giving money. And what I have realized, if you ask me, the same parents that William Ruto met in church, he has now left the church and is going to meet them in school. They'll be told about how the president gave this bus, and you know, it's emotionally touching. The kids will go back and tell their parents the way the bus was given by Ruto, the way they have been given money. You know, like kids in boarding school, I know the day that Ruto is there, maybe the dad, 50 million can even change their dad. You know, they can change their dad for some 1 month. So when they go home, they're gonna praise. That's it. But I want to make a quick change of it. Have you realized that Musalia Mudavadi has been missing in these rallies? I looked at itinerary today. It was President Ruto, Deputy President Gachagua, Kimani Chungwa, Arun Cheriot, Dede Nyoro, and the other leaders. It was the same lineup in Isiolo, the same lineup in Kericho. Moses Wetangula, Speaker of the National Assembly, and Musalia Mudavadi has been missing. They are not in action. Someone might ask me, why Mudavadi? Because these rallies are actually political campaign rallies. And the intention of these rallies is just to counter Raila Odinga's popularity. Now let me tell you, if you do a quick analysis, you will realize that the areas the president is visiting is the Rift and parts of central Kenya. Like for the last 2 days, he was in central Kenya, Meru and Murang'a, and then northeastern, that was in Isiolo. The other day he was in Kericho. I don't know where he will be, or on Sunday where there will be an interdenominational service. And so, it is very clear, but one person, Musalia Mudavadi, is not being seen in the limelight. Mudavadi is in the country. And he's not attending these rallies. He's attending cabinet meetings. He's not skipped any cabinet meeting. And he's failed to comment on the current political discourse going on. He's kept his cool. What are we talking about? Musalia Mudavadi has refused to board. But why is Ruto going out? You know, if I was Ruto's advisor, I will advise him to disappear from the public. If you read the body language of citizens, especially when he's addressing them, there are those who are waving and interacting with that information simply because of political euphoria. But clearly there is a disconnect between the leadership and the citizens. In fact, he's not doing any favor. Just the other day, when he was in Kericho, he spoke. And he was talking about a protest. And someone said, no, the protests are right. You know, the truth of the matter, and that's why I wish someone would advise the president. Keep off public. Retreat and work from State House in your laptop. Go back and avoid media confrontation, because it's doing him more harm. As we speak now, there's scores of injuries. There are people that are in hospitals. There are families that are walking from one mortuary to the other, looking for their missing sons and daughters. But there are also videos trending in social media spaces about how security officers and even some militia really wreaking havoc in the street. But who is Ruto? He will still leave, get at the top of the car and defend the police. What are you doing? What are you doing it? Someone was, I was just having an informal talk with one subscriber in this channel, and it gave me some very interesting idea. He told me he was supporting, actually he was supporting the notion, the aspect of president withdrawing from the public, and was saying, if what Ruto would have done is to withdraw from the public and assume as if he doesn't know what is going on, then when things get out of hand, because whatever is happening is already making him unpopular, he will come back and do some damage control, fire Kindiki, fire this, fire that. Then Kenyans will have, or his supporters will have a perception that, look here, maybe it is Waziri who was wrong, but you know, Ruto just realized, came back and Ruto has fired XYZ. Someone made that, someone made that observation. The more he's coming to public and being of that confrontational, it's true, even if you're going to crash, when you come in public and say that I will crash protests, and then the next day you send police in an operation, look at the kind of mentality they go with when they go to quell protest. They actually crash, and we've just lost it in terms of humanity. I can't believe, and people are even making fun of this. Is this the leadership that came to power through the spiritual kingdom? What has happened? While it was right to pray for the country, for economy to get its health back, but we seem to have left prayers and to solve our crisis now, but has resorted to policing. Let me give you 3 reasons why Mudavadi is not in those rallies. Number 1, Mudavadi is avoiding Uhuru withdrawals. I think he's on record saying that let's sit down and work. Let's stop complaining about Uhuru Kenyatta. Kenyans have given us time and has given us the mantle to work. And he has refused to board the train that blames Uhuru Kenyatta for things happening in the country. Mudavadi has refused. He is not boarding that plane that keeps on shouting that Uhuru Kenyatta is the problem. If you look at the kind of messaging in those rallies, it is Uhuru Kenyatta withdrawals. Starting from Uhuru is sponsoring protests, second to Uhuru this, Uhuru that. It's a lot of propaganda. And by the way, in terms of political messaging, Mudavadi is not very efficient and effective in propaganda. He's not. He's not that much. He's not a propaganda machinery. And that is why during the campaigns, he was more strategic, even in terms of messaging. Number two, Mudavadi is avoiding the rallies because the public appearance by the two leaders is making Rigathi and Ruto carry the burden. The burden of protest casualties. There are many protest casualties, starting from those who are being killed and maimed to companies that are losing millions and billions because of disruptions. Just today, I was speaking. I was speaking to a friend who, one of my friends whom I normally shop. I normally shop my clothing from him. My suits, actually, he does my suits, and he works in town. He has a store in town. So I was asking, what about it? And he confirmed to me. In fact, he was reacting to the photos that has been shared by UDA team, that things have returned to normalcy. And he said me, yes, Kevin, it's true. Things have returned to normalcy, but I can tell you, no sales. No sales. Why? You just opened the business, but the kind of fear that has been planted in people are not even willing to spend the little they have, because tomorrow is unknown. Who will buy suit if he's not sure about tomorrow? Are you going to have peace? Instead of buying suit, should I just stock food in my house? And again, there are some people that feel, if I am not working in town, why should I go to town? And he's telling me that walk-in clients, in fact, yesterday, told me he worked yesterday and today, and walk-in clients were only 2 the whole day. So while government's flashing beautiful photos of things are normal, it's very true that, there is no protest in town, but there is no sales. 2 reasons: economy is screwed, number 1. Number 2, there is fear. Lastly, Rigathi is not there because those rallies are against collective government position. It's not a collective position of all of government, including Mtaani Mudavadi, that they get to those rallies, because it's a bit of an early campaign. And I wonder what exactly is the effectiveness. And that's why it's only the UDA team that has been carried there. I understand